Welcome to our tutorial on creating targeted mailing lists of property owners in your market. As a real estate professional, building a strong connection with local homeowners is key to boosting your visibility and attracting potential clients. In this video, we'll walk you through the step-by-step process of creating an effective mailing list so you can market yourself and your listings directly to property owners. So let's get started on growing your business. I've gone ahead and I've created a new map in my Land ID account, and up in the top right is where we're going to see our options to create our mailer lists. And if I click on reports here, we have two report options. The top one, export owner list to CSV, that's the one we're going to want to use to create these mailing lists. So when I click on that, I have three ways that I can create mailing lists. I can draw a polygon on my map, I can draw a line, and I can draw a radius. And what I'd like to do now is go through all three of these examples to show you how you can be effective with creating targeted mailing lists with one of these three options. And we're going to start with the line option. And I am zoomed in on my map in Clear Lake, Iowa. And the line option for creating CSVs is really useful when you want to be very, very targeted. So let's say I wanted to only target properties that are lakefront on Clear Lake. What I could do is I come up to reports, I choose the CSV option, and then I'm going to choose the line option. When I zoom in, I'm going to see property boundaries on my map, and I'm going to zoom in pretty close because this is going to be a very targeted list I'm going to create. And with the line option, the gist of it is when I draw my line in here, it's going to give me a list of the owners where that line intersects the properties. And so all I need to do to start drawing is I'm going to click on the map, and then I'm just going to be clicking around, making sure that my line is running through the properties that I'm going to want to include in my mailer. And if I want to continue drawing at this zoom level, all I do is when I hit towards the bottom, I'm going to click, hold, and drag my mouse over to keep dragging my map around. So I'm just going to continue doing this until I've come back to my starting place and I've been able to draw this line to intersect all of the properties that are lakefront on Clear Lake. And so here's the final result of my line tracing around Clear Lake. You can see it's showing the yellow line of where I traced around the property with the CSV line creation tool. And once I finish that line, it's going to give me some filtering options. So on all three of our CSV creation options, whether it's the radius, the polygon, or the line, when you finish drawing any of those three items, you're going to then move to the next phase, which is going to allow you to further filter your list to better curate it, either by acreage range, tax assessed value, sales date, whether it's single family, vacant, or ag. And then you can determine which email you want this sent to. And once you put in all of these categories, you're going to click on preview cost. And what we're going to generate is we're going to generate a deduplicated list. So what that means is if John Smith owns 3 properties around Clear Lake, we're only going to charge you for one of John Smith's properties with John Smith's home address instead of paying for 3 John Smith addresses that are all the same. So that's what deduplicating means. We're going to make sure we don't have duplicate owners in your list and you're only paying for one owner and one of their mailing addresses one time. And when I click on that preview, what it's going to do is it's going to break down how many properties are going to be in this list that I've created. So we have 691 owners that we're going to put into this mailing list. So this is going to show us what this list is going to cost us at $48.37. Now, if we wanted to continue to adjust this, we could click the back button right here and we could redraw it or add more filters to make sure it fits into our budget. Let's say we're good with this because we want to target all of the properties around Clear Lake. And, another side comment on all of the list creations, we're going to automatically exclude government-owned properties. So properties that, you would never reach out to the owner because they're publicly owned. We're not going to include those either. It's just going to be privately owned properties that are in these lists. We would then add our credit card and generate the list. So let's go ahead and let's see what this list is going to look like. Okay, so here's the list. It's opened on my MacBook and we're using the numbers. If you would open this up on Windows on a spreadsheet. And we've got our owner name on the left column. Then we have the owner first name and last name split out, followed by their mailing address. This is already formatted to be ingested by a company that will produce the mailing cards and do the mailing for you. So the formatting is already perfect for them. A couple of things that I'll point out of how you can derive a few more insights out of this for maybe people that you think could be a higher chance of wanting to sell their property. And one of those would be finding out who it isn't their primary residence, and that's pretty easy. So we can go through this list and we can see that their mailing city, if it's not Clear Lake, Iowa, it's something like Denver or Austin, Texas. Well, at that point, we know this is probably a vacation home and they might be more likely to sell it. So we can also sort by this. This is just a spreadsheet, and we could come up here and we could sort by acreage. So we could then find who are the owners that own the largest amount of land around Clear Lake. Maybe those are people we want to take extra attention to in creating a mailing marketing campaign. So within these lists that we create, we can extract out further information of specific owners within the list that maybe have a higher probability of wanting to sell their property, or maybe are a bigger fish because they own more property for us to get to be a client. Okay, let's move on to the next section, and we're going to create a neighbor map using the Radius CSV creation option. Now, as you can see, I'm back into my Land ID map, and I've identified a property owner that I have a listing for. The other ways I've seen this is in auctions, so possibly the property is going up for auction, and I'm aware that most of the time at an auction or a property for sale like this, that the buyer is likely going to be within a 10-mile radius of this property. Let's go ahead and we're going to create a CSV using our radius option. So remember, we go up to the top right and click on reports to access our CSV mailing list options. We're going to click on that, and this time we're going to choose the radius option. And the radius option, that's just going to draw out a circle for us as we expand. So very straightforward. We're just going to click inside of this property because this is going to be ground zero for where we want that radius to start. So I click. And then you can see as I zoom out and I start to move my mouse out, I'm getting a green circle is being created. And I'm also getting the area and the radius. So if I want to take it out to a 5-mile or 10-mile radius, that's something that I can easily do. I just keep zooming out and expanding that, and I'm paying attention to this radius right here. So we'll get it to about 10 miles. I'll double click. And you can now see the area in which I'm going to create my mailing list. And once again, we're presented with the same filtering option. So I could filter and say, I only want properties that are going to be 10 acres or above, or I only want to focus on properties that are 10 to 100 acres, tax assessed value, 200,000 or more, has it sold in the last year. I only want single family, vacant, or ag. These are all options that you can plug in to further refine that list. Once you've done that, you're going to preview the cost, just like before. And you can see here, we're going to get just over 6,000 properties, and this is what our cost is going to be. It's a deduplicated list, so you don't have to worry about getting redundant owner names and mailing information for those owners. If we're happy with that, we can go ahead and we'll add our credit card and execute the creation of the list. If we wanted to, we could click on the back button and we could go back and we could then run that boundary again and tweak the filters, the acreages, the assessed values to get more within our budget if the $400 was too much. Once we've done that, we can create that list. So let's go ahead and let's see what that list would look like. Okay, here's the Robert Johnson neighbor list that we just created from our Radius CSV mailer creation option. And very similar to the other list that we created, and this is the way the list will look when you open them up in either your Mac or Windows in Excel or Numbers. We're once again going to have everything formatted perfectly for the ingestion of these lists into companies that specialize in producing the mailing content and doing the mailing, all of the marketing, all of that stuff. So mailing address, all of that good stuff. When we move into a more Radius option, it can be really interesting to then sort by the acreage to see who are our biggest landowners in that area. Maybe we want to spend a little bit more money targeting them, a little bit more time targeting those folks, as they can be higher value clients for us in the future. Let's now move on to our third option, and we're going to create a market-wide, county-wide CSV mailer list from our Polygon tool. Okay, for our third option of drawing a custom polygon to create a mailing list, I'm going to focus on the Las Vegas area, and I'm also going to go to my overlay button here on the left side, and I'm going to turn on the county lines. That can just help me be more focused on the market area and the counties that I want to concentrate on. So you can see we now have the county boundary showing. I'm going to go up to reports like I did the last two times. I'm going to choose the export owner list to CSV. And this time I'm going to be on the polygon option, which is what I want. The polygon option gives you the most control compared to the Radius option of really defining the area you want to extract the mailer lists. The line tool clearly is very, very precise of getting properties it's only intersecting with. The polygon tool is really customized to get big groups or big areas. All we're going to do is we're going to click to start drawing, and we can draw whatever shape we want. So if I wanted to, I could trace the boundaries of Clark County. But just to make this fast, I'll draw in just Las Vegas and its outer boundaries. Double click to finish. Once again, we have the filtering options we can use. We'll go to preview cost. And just like before, it's going to give us the total amount of addresses we're going to get. And you can see we have a very healthy bill to pay if we want to be marketing to the Las Vegas area. If we want to, we're going to add the credit card, and that CSV list will then be created. Okay, in closing, I just want to show you a couple of other things. So I'm back on my dashboard. This is where when I first log into my Land ID account, I go and create new maps here. I can open up existing maps below. I want to draw your attention to the top of my dashboard where I have three buttons: Discover Map, My Maps, Prints, and Reports. So in addition to getting your reports emailed to you when you create them, you can also come here and click on Prints and Reports at the top of your dashboard, and you can access those reports right here. So we have two buttons here: Print History and Parcel Reports. If I click over to that, that's going to then give me the option to view any of the parcel CSV mailer list reports that I've created in the past, and I can click on the download file to re-download them or to download them if I haven't received the email yet with the file. In parting, one of the more interesting things I've seen be utilized out of Land ID that is in conjunction with this mailer list creation is the ability to make property-specific maps with your branding to be included as a supplement into your standard marketing mailer. And what you can do is you can take that list and you could sort it by the sum land acres, and I'll sort it descending. That's going to then bring up all of the biggest landowners in that area to the top of my list. This makes it really easy for me to go find their properties because I know I ran this in Clark County. And if I want to go and find this property, all I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight it over here and I'm going to copy the name. Then I go into my Land ID account and I'm going to switch my search options up in the top left to search by owner name. I'll plug in the county first. Then I'll just copy in that owner name. And I'm going to get that as a suggestion. I'll hit go. That's going to go find that property right there, and we can see we have a really nice big property, and maybe this is worth it for us to make a nice map, and it's quick and easy. All we're going to do is we're going to merge and make the boundary over here, and then we can come to the print area option, and maybe we want to put on the overlay, so we could put on surface water. That's usually a nice accent, public lands, and we can print to a PDF, and then we can include this with our branding if we added that into our account details back on our dashboard. So our logo and our contact information will be on that print map. We can include that in addition to our marketing mailer that we send off to this entity or this owner. And a lot of times that person, they don't have a great map of their property, and if you provide them with a decent map in your marketing materials, they're going to hang on to that, and your branding's going to be there, and you have no idea how many people can see that map for years to come as they use that map to get around to the property, and you become omnipresent in their mind. Whenever they use that map, they will see your branding, and it might lead to the chance to list a really, really big listing in the future. If you take this tactic and you just focus on making additional maps from your list to include in your marketing mailers, I've seen that be a really effective tactic that several brokers and agents have used over the years. And then finally, I just want to make mention of our custom mapping department. One of the things that we do regularly is we create really customized mailing lists for our Land ID subscribers. You can put in a request to talk to one of our experts at support@id.land, and they can get much more fine-grained with the filtering that you want to do to find very specific properties. Some of the top ones can be really specific acreage range in a specific county, properties that have been sold in a given time frame, even properties that are waterfront. So our custom team at support@id.land can take lists and make much more complex and targeted lists than the filtering options that exist within Land ID when you run the CSVs. So if you're looking to go beyond the filtering capabilities that we have in Land ID, please reach out to our custom department at support@id.land, and they'll be able to help you out and create those lists that you're looking for. Okay, that concludes this video on how we can utilize Land ID to create different types of targeted mailing lists to enhance our marketing for ourselves and the properties we represent.